Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, bonjour, hola, how do? How are you all? Since when did I have an H? Um, how are we? How is everyone? Obviously buzzing from getting through in the cup. Yay! And obviously it was nice to have a home draw as well after having 9 back-to-back away draws. I think we'd have been the first team ever to go 10 away draws back to back, which would have just been ridiculous. Although I was expecting Man City to crop up last night when it eventually got to the draw. However, glad to see people in the chat. Get your comments in. Like I say, we're going to chinwag throughout it. We're going to be talking about the Burnley Manchester United game, which obviously is coming up this weekend, and it should be a good one. There always seems to be quite close games between the two sides. I mean, you only have to look back at a couple of Boxing Day fixtures. I will never get over that Jesse Lingard free kick in the 90 plus something minute that absolutely ruined my festive holiday. You've ruined my holiday. It was just one of those games. But I'm so glad to be able to discuss it with the man himself, the man with a plan. It's Sam. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, mate. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, I'm doing all right. There's absolutely nothing to discuss in the last 24 hours about Manchester United. That's been all over everywhere. So I'm sure. No, it's lovely to be here. I've had a good day, so I've calmed down from last night. I'm ready to chew the fat with you. I've bought
Mate, if you
in
want to vent,
respect,
then
I've bought
feel
my
free
claret
to
for you as well.
vent. I brought Coca-Cola. Why not? Because that's where we'll be heading. It's not called the Coca-Cola League anymore, but it used to be.
No,
So
I like those days. Take me
they
back.
were the good old days. The good old days. So yeah, first of all, let people know a bit about you, your love for Manchester United, and where people can show their support to you and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm Sam. My handle is at Sam Absolute FBL, and the main thing I do really is run, host, produce the Absolute Football Podcast, which is a multiple podcast show. Effectively, we do absolutely everything, as it says in the title. That's Premier League football, women's football, lower league football, non-league football. We've got the whole kind of ram. So I do that. That's kind of covering everything. But I am a Manchester United fan behind all of that as well. Have been since a kid through my dad. And the childhood was good. I'm not going to lie, it was a good childhood. It's got a bit rough in recent years, but yeah, I've seen United through some rough times in recent times, but every club I think has had it. I think everyone sort of has that, and then maybe they kind of grow on a good path. Mine seems to be going the other way, so I'm sort of in reminiscing things. So my DVDs are now well and truly being used and bought out again because it's been a rough few years. But no, so yeah, Absolute Football Podcast. Of course, we do that together, Dan, on a Tuesday. Yeah. It's always a good chat. So it's great to be here chatting football with you again, mate.
Happy days. You said that the DVDs have been overused. I mean, mate, the CDs got overused when I was a kid. I had Man United pajamas.
Oh, mate, look at that.
And an S Club 7 CD. Get in.
Oh, that's the truth. No, never. They said never have a dream come true, but you did.
That's why it says Man United underneath it. I tried my best to cover the badge, but the writing were too big. But no, honestly, thank you for coming on. Really do appreciate it. And if you want to vent and it gets to a point where you just, it becomes like a free therapy session for you, go for it, mate. Absolutely go for it. Max in the chat, good evening to your good self. Says, regarding Saturday, one of two things will happen. One, United will come out to prove a point and spank us, or two, we will turn them over and pile on more misery. I said that as soon as the game finished, that we will dissect shortly. That it's one of those I was torn between, are we going to spank them 5-0 or are we going to get spanked 5-0? We don't know what's going to happen. Ginger Ali, greetings from Barley. I can't believe you're watching me, the palest man in the UK, in the middle of Barley. So I do appreciate that. But yeah, like I said, get your comments in. Let us know your thoughts on the game for Saturday. Let us know your score predictions. And yeah, just do the usual. Right, let's get into it then. Let's get tonight out the way. If we get it nice and early, we can talk about the proper stuff. But yeah, a lot of people obviously had this as a absolute ultimate win. Grimsby were going to be nowhere near, and it was quite the opposite. For me, I'd say a game of two halves.
Yeah, I think a game of a game of disaster, I think is how I'd describe the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one because if we go back, we're only 2 weeks into the season. That's kind of the mad thing. It seems like, I think the result last night has piled on everything from last season, and understandably so. But going into it, that we'd had a decent performance against Arsenal. We didn't pick anything up. A lot of positives to take from that. But ultimately didn't get anything. And then on the following week, obviously, we picked up a draw against Fulham where there were bits which looked okay, but then in the large, it was a lot of what was seen from last season. So the fan base was starting to get a bit antsy about that already, which kind of shows you how much the hangover from last season is still there. A lot of the problems are still there. There was a lot of questions after the Saturday, the Sunday game even, about how we're playing, the system's still set up, how we're fitting in the new players, what we still need to do in the transfer window. Can we get rid of the bomb squad? We were going into this game off the back of a lot of Kobe Mainu rumours that they were looking potentially to move him on. That wasn't going down too well with a lot of the fan base, with mainly being an academy player, not seeing any minutes so far this season, with the Bruno Fernandes shenanigans at the weekend, which I'd quite happily discuss more than the game in the end with the Grimsby games. You thought that was pretty rough to kind of get through, but my word, I mean, yeah, absolutely. First of all, you have to say what a performance for Grimsby in terms of the fact that they played. It wasn't just a kind of way of you play a lower league side and you expect maybe something a little bit more kind of rough and
11 men behind the ball sort of thing.
You've got to take your chance, take your moment. I thought the points where we were being outplayed and played through, and they saw us coming really, and they saw how to do it. And you're watching United knock the ball around, and thinking, I have an idea here how to break Grimsby down here. And when Grimsby went forward, gaps and spaces everywhere. And there's no excuse of the fact you're rotating players because there's internationals out there. There's some quality players, some of which have played for United hundreds of times at this point, and should be, on paper, should be able to handle and to deal with that. But they didn't. They got caught with some crazy, crazy moments. The goalkeeper's an absolute nightmare. Was last season, was the season before. We all kind of, his stock had risen because the other idiot that we put in the previous week, Mr. Flappy, from crosses and corners buying dear. So thinking, okay, Nana's back. Here's your opportunity. State your claim. And he definitely staked it in the completely wrong way. So we're all Tom Eaton in. There is definitely, never mind hammering him in or out, it is Tom Eaton into the end at the moment. And it just got away from, 2-0 down. It could have been 3. We were fortunate with a kind of offside decision. I mean, okay, there's questions over the second goal, but and then at that point, as you'd kind of expect, Amorim reacted. He had to put the play. We put Bremo on, we put Bruno Fernandes on. We looked a lot more threatening. We created some chances, and as soon as the first one went in, we'd been knocking on the door a little while, and you felt Grimsby had been intense, and they've been putting everything on, so you knew they were going to tire, and you just felt okay. Yeah, now there's an opportunity. And they got 2 goals. Looked like they might be able to rescue it. Massive chance in the last second as well. Your new striker punts it over the bar. You're thinking, brilliant. Can this get any worse? Oh, of course, yeah, it can. It can get worse. We'll go to penalties, which felt like it started about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and finished about midnight because they went on forever. Ultimately Grimsby got it done. And for Grimsby, what an amazing game. For everybody else, loving it. And understandably, United are humiliated today. It's humiliating. It's embarrassing. And that's not a disrespect to Grimsby. That's just Manchester United should be able to manage a game like that, and they're not. And it comes off the back of everything from last season, where I think everybody felt after the Europa League final loss to Tottenham, this has got to be the bottom now. This has got to be the bottom of the barrel. We're trying to reset everything. Lots of changes in the summer to start to reclimb where Manchester United feel that they want to be. 15th in the league, lost to Tottenham in Europa. Okay, transfers fairly happy with some of what we do. We need to do way more, but we knew not going to happen in one window. And it just feels like after 1 week now, everything out the pram. And then the press conference from Amorim afterwards, which I'm sure we'll get to as well. We just don't know what's going on. Just absolute, the fan base is in absolute disarray. Twitter's a meltdown, as it is the best of times, but even worse today and last night. So yeah, I was pretty peeved off yesterday evening. It's fair to be said.
Call it as it is. Call it as it is. Go for it.
I mean,
You were fucking
I
fuming, is how
was
you were.
fucking pissed off. Yeah, absolutely. I think I said in the group chat, and I've been pacing around my living room, and I reckon I covered about 5K. I think, just in frustration, because it's just kind of one thing after another. It kind of seems that they can't get any base to start to rebuild stuff, and trying to move out the players that they felt were causing the issues. They've been talking about there's a better team atmosphere and all the rest of it. You can't go and lose to Grimsby. I'm sorry, you can't. It's just not acceptable. It's not acceptable. I think if you're with the team that you put out, if you're doing okay, we're doing nothing from okay. I said to you, I think off air, like we beat Aston Villa on the last game of the season, and that was a scam. That we kind of scammed that. We didn't deserve that. I can't remember when we won before that. We don't win games. This Manchester United side do not win games. And while there's some excitement from the new players, it's not enough at the moment because you're not picking points up. And I think had last night not happened, I imagine we'd be having a very different conversation now about what kind of game we're expecting and the kind of atmosphere that will be at Old Trafford. Because I still think it would have been, okay, they'll be looking at that going, right, we need 3 points, we need to get behind it. But the fan base is pretty toxic at the minute, which is going to probably play a massive part into how the game goes, I think, this weekend. So yeah, overall, it was pretty pants, Dan. It's my review of last night from a United perspective.
No, it's hard. I mean, when you look at it as a neutral, I won't lie, rooting for the underdog, of course.
Yeah.
At 2-0, I didn't even see a way back for Manchester United at that point. It was only basically in the second half where I thought maybe this is where we'll see a different United, a bit of a firework up their arse and kick on in the next 45, which I thought they relatively did. But again, they were very prone to counter-attacks. And you said it at the start, that Grimsby didn't just stick 11 men behind the ball. They didn't, sit on their laurels and just go, that's it, we're just going to see this game out and try and nick a 1-0 or something. They went all out against you, and it made you think, oh, hold on, we're going to have to actually play football against these lot. Obviously, they had a goal ruled out as well, rightly so, for the handball. But the one that a lot of people, a controversial one that's saying they should have done it in normal time, the third one, I think, really would have cemented the game completely different. For you, was it offside or not? I mean, they've looked at it and said it's down to Maguire if he's intentionally played it. I don't understand how it comes down to that. I've always thought if it comes off that a player of that team and you're technically no longer offside, it's. But yeah, how was that one for you?
Yeah, I think I was the same. I was kind of confused by it because they've just made it so confusing, haven't they? There's so many, because if it's this, if it's that, if it's this, it's that.
Change the rules every year.
So. Yeah, so it's hard to kind of know. As you said, like they were unfortunate. I think we were fortunate to get away with it. To be honest, like I don't think it was a massive. I don't think it was a massively clear one for anybody. But then when you watch it and you apply the rules, then yeah, I think it should have stood. I think they were very unlucky to. I mean, there's a question mark possibly over their second in reverse to that if you were kind of going to want to get into the nitty gritty of it. But ultimately, United didn't deserve that. So I don't think they can be claiming any kind of complaints of any decisions or whatever. I mean, our goalkeeper should have dealt with that second one anyway, but we don't seem to know how to handle any balls in the air at the moment. So yeah, for me, we got away with one, but we didn't really get away with one because we didn't get it over the line. So ultimately, yeah, that could have been even worse. I mean, we were saying before, I remember the MK Dons 4-0 defeat, and that's what it felt like. At that point, that's what it was feeling like, because it was one of those you felt we get the next goal, then okay, I can see a way back into this, but it wasn't. That point that wasn't coming. The following sort of 10 minutes after that, we then started to pile on a bit. As you said, 3-0 was very different to 2-0.
I mean, you said it there regarding the keeper. I mean, if it's not Bayendir, it's Onana. At the moment, it seems that none of them can sort out an itch on the knackers because every time they go to reach down, they end up scratching the belly button. Like, what's happening on the keeper front?
It's mad. I've never seen I've never seen a kind of situation where you've just got so many clear and obvious errors in the way that they're goalkeeping for what
Yeah,
the standard of what we should be expecting, what Manchester United fans expect from the history of what we've had. We've had some of the greatest keepers in the Premier League. We've had Peter Schmeichel. We've had Edwin van der Sar. There was years when David De Gea was phenomenal.
yeah,
We've had that, and we just don't. They've installed no confidence to the back line. It's making a back line which, to be honest, in the first two games, I think have defended pretty well in the Premier League. I think we've actually defended pretty well. When you look at the goals we've conceded so far, 3 of them have been goalkeeping errors. And obviously that wasn't our first choice back line out last night. But the goalkeeper's just an absolute. It's just a crazy one because Onana came Champions League finalist. We thought we were getting a fantastic playing goalkeeper. And we've just seen error after error after error. The first season knocked us out the Champions League, basically 3 or 4 errors in the group stage, a mess. Europe last season, a joke. Times in the Premier League, stupid mistakes, and just costing us rather than getting us out of trouble. Just costing us. I can't remember him saving us in a game in any kind of capacity. Maybe the odd save he's made, but you're a Premier League goalkeeper. Sorry, that's your bread and butter. It's your job, as what he would say. Yeah. And then Bayindir comes in, and it's always the case if you want the one who's not there in, and then you remember that when he steps in, he's a disaster as well. So, I mean, he was the one I wanted in the shootout last night because he's actually a decent penalty saver compared to Onana, who's diving past the ball. But he can't deal with the cross. I mean, it was comical against. Obviously, got done against Arsenal with the corner. But against Fulham, it was unbelievable. Every time the ball was in the air, it was just like a calamity. You were watching kind of, we knew what the problem was. And that when everybody asks Amorim or anybody about it, they're like, no, it's not an issue. We just need to... It bloody is an issue. It's clearly an issue. And we know exactly what you guys are going to do at the weekend. Any opportunity, particularly if it's Bayindir or Onana in there, stick it in the 6-yard box. Get people around him. Make it difficult. And what will happen is you'll probably get a chance or 2 out of it. And it's just...
we're not seeing the same VAR will rule our handballs out. So
this is it. There's VAR on Saturday, so
the one thing I will say is Burnley fans will probably, have a level of sympathy there because we obviously at a time under Sean Dash had Joe Hart in the net. We had an upcoming Nick Pope who hadn't really been given his chance at that point, and things weren't going great for Dash at that particular point of the season. So the one change we all asked him to make was the keeper, and we said, look, Joe Hart is not coming out and collecting crosses. He's not commanding his area. He's not trying to organise his defence in front of him and be vocal. As soon as we put Tom Heaton back in, we went and beat West Ham. And the point I'm getting at is get Tom Heaton in. He was our captain. Let's not take that away. He was our captain for a good number of years. I still always refer back to that tweet that Middlesbrough fans put out that we were getting Johan Berg Gudmundsson and Nick Pope and Tom Heaton, and they were signing Victor Valdez and Negredo at the time. And it's like, yeah, look how that worked out for you. Yeah. But I honestly do think age is just a number with a keeper. Obviously, between 35 to 40, you sort of start that bit of a decline. I get that. But why not take that risk? Anything's got to be better than nothing. And if it shows up, we've took a punt on a 38-year-old Dubravka who's, coming towards back end of his career. Yeah, we've signed a 1-year deal. But again, it's these keepers that are lingering around. Why aren't they being given the opportunity?
It's mad, as you said. The one thing they give you is that security and that safe pair of hands. And everybody ideally wants a position where you've got a goalkeeper that is coming through. They're getting into their prime, and you know that they're going to be there for a decade. It's a rare case, though. It doesn't always happen. You look at someone like Alisson as kind of the absolute pinnacle. Liverpool got him at the right time, and he's been an absolute, been the best goalkeeper arguably in the world for the past 5 years, maybe more. And then you've got this situation where United went for something like that and it hasn't worked. But there's nothing wrong in admitting and saying, do you know what we need? We need a bit of a stopgap. We've got so much to sort out, and we are being linked with, I think it's pretty far on by the sounds of it, the Belgian lad Lemons, I think it was at Antwerp. So they're obviously looking at a younger keeper to come in, but that would work for me. And then you say, what the Heaton, we'll put Heaton in for this season. Get rid of what we've got. Start getting rid of the dead wood, and therefore see if this guy is the guy, and if not, maybe we have to move for something else next summer. But they obviously decided they weren't going to do anything major on the goalkeeper thing, but they have to do something because transfer window ends in 3 days. We're going to get this young lad, and the last thing we really need is putting a young lad in straight in who's got to get used to the Premier League and having similar issues. I think you stick Heaton in. He played in pre-season. What's the point of having him? I know everyone likes this third.
Pre-season as well, didn't he?
He did pretty well in pre-season. I'd rather we had the lad that's gone to Bristol City, VTech, the keeper they've got there. I'd rather have him at the moment, But I think, for me, we were screaming for Tom Heaton should have played last night. Why we're trying to force Onana in? It's perfect because Onana's not played all pre-season against a lower league. You're in for a very different encounter as a goalkeeper than you'll get in the Premier League and what he's used to. It was also the weather was going to be horrendous. There's going to be all sorts of like slidey, slippy balls.
That was horrible. That rain last night.
It was a shocker when the lightning sort of came down and everything. You're thinking, here's the storm that Amorim was talking about. But I think he would have been perfect for that. You needed experience and you needed a safe pair of hands. You've got a young defence out there as well. We played Fredrickson and we played Eidenheaven. What you don't need is shaky McMuffin stood behind you. Poppadom wristing everything that's kind of in the air, just chaos. So if Tom Heaton walks out, that might change the crowd, to be honest. That might be enough if we suddenly see Tom Heaton warming up before the game.
Probably would, because you've got 4 stands at Old Trafford probably giving him a round of applause. So
exactly.
If anything, that's just going to G the home side up, which in a way would piss me off, but still, it'd be nice to see him. Even the Grimsby keeper himself was like every Man United fan last night. He said it in the interview, didn't he? That part of him is happy, but he's also a bit peed off that he's just knocked out the team he supports out of the cup. Fair shout to Christy Pym. It's a bit of a weird name. I like the sound of it. But
I'll still take Christy Pym over Krusty the Clown that we've currently got.
Amorim. Obviously, we said off there about his tactics board and his McLaren-esque managing. Where do you stand on it? I think it's come out today. Sir Jim Ratcliffe said that he backs him, and obviously to turn things around, but it needs to be done quickly, doesn't it?
It needs to be quicker than yesterday, really. Amorim's look. When he came in, literally, I like the demeanour of the guy. I like the way he speaks. There's a lot to like about Ruben Amorim, and there's a lot if it clicked, like you could imagine. I think this is the problem when you like the guy. It makes it sometimes hard to detach, and that's probably where some of us have been with Amorim for a little bit because we understood the circumstances of last season. He came in mid-season, it wasn't ideal. They decided to stick with Ten Hag. That didn't work, and we just couldn't get to grips with what we were doing. Now he's started to get some players in, so starting to be able to be judged on what it is, but he's run out of rope because of what happened at the end of last season, basically binning the Premier League off. He's not got a lot in the tank in terms of grace because we haven't been winning football matches, and ultimately there's a lot of criticism around the system. It's square pegs in round holes again. We're watching there going Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro as a double pivot. What the fuck is that? That's just not going to do it, is it? When Kobbie Mainoo's not getting a minute, we're thinking what's going on there. He's now rumoured to being sold, and then Ugarte comes on, £50 million midfielder, looking like flipping a tank. Like he just can't, and he's got no kind of touch or composure. So it seems like every sort of thing he's tried to do doesn't seem to have worked. He's obviously now too far in with this system that he's not going to move and change. Now, that's possibly the biggest criticism I've kind of got with him is that modern football is you don't just play one way. If you play one way, you get found out. and the blueprint to beat Man United is there because so many teams have been doing it. It's so easy to cut through our midfield. And while I saw some changes in the way we played, like the Arsenal game in particular, that gave you hope. Okay, maybe there's some evolution. You need to have a different way to play. There's no shame in doing something different. You look at Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank at Tottenham has been there for 3 games and he's played 3 different ways. And he's got 3 arguably results. The Paris Saint-Germain one went to penalties and they were unlucky. But he played well against you guys, but played a completely different way against Manchester City to get the success that he needed and recognise that the challenge was different. He had different things he had to address. And we're just going with the hammer. Hammer. It's like, there's a screw. No. Hammer it. And you're like, but we're getting found out. And the system's getting, if Grimsby can play through you that simply, and there was a situation where they had a 3-on-1 at the back at one point, and you're thinking, that can't happen. That cannot happen. That's the mix. And the players are massively to blame. They're massively to blame. Because they're the ones that are in charge of that situation on the pitch. But there's clearly a disconnect between what we're trying to do and what's coming through. But the thing that was crazy was the press conference afterwards. Obviously, everyone's still peed off. No one really was in a mood to take it. There was nothing he could have said last night that would have satisfied anybody. But it was almost a throwing the towel in a little bit. It was a really weird... There's a couple of... I was speaking to a few United fans last night and we were saying, is he walking? Is he putting the marker down? Because he was on about, we've got the game coming up and then we'll see. And it was almost like, what do you mean? What's we'll see all about? You've got... Almost
like I'm going to sit with the hierarchy during the international break and discuss what's next.
We'll decide what's next. But it's like... But we're 3 days away from the end of the transfer window. We bought players against the system and the long-term plan against this. Like, I'm sure someone could come in and do something different with the team. But it's the thing is, it's the same cycle again. We've had it with Ten Hag. We had it with Van Gaal, with Mourinho. It goes well with Solskjaer. It goes well at the start. The players sort of disappear out, don't play very well. It's just... It's just a mess, and so Matt's got a good point there. Like, it's something different that we're not used to as a system, and it's not exciting to watch. We don't get the ball forward quick enough in some areas. We don't overload on the wide positions like we used to. We get caught through the midfield playing so easy, and it was different from Ten Hag. So at the start we just wanted to see something different because Ten Hag was kind of doing a lot of the same stuff that we'd done before. Towards the end of it, so I think it was refreshing. But the manager will suffer, but it's the players that are causing it again. And sadly, it seems to be that a lot of the ones we move on, the problem still remains. And then you're like, well, you look at who was involved last night. And I saw a lot of people sort of saying it's the same players. A lot of them weren't. You're looking at them going, there's a few. You've got Ugarte started last season. You've got Kobbie Mainoo, who's been very good, but hadn't played. So I think he was possibly, you could understand him being a little bit rusty starting off. Cunha was out there. Didn't have a great game. Sesko's first game, so not an ideal debut for him either, to be honest with you. Harry Maguire, massively experienced. Diogo Dalot's been here for years and years and years and years, and I'm still not impressed with him either. And then on top of that, you've got a couple of youngsters coming. It's not... there's not that many that have been here for a long, long period of time from when we last saw these issues. So they're clearly trying to change some stuff behind the scenes to reset the club. But to sack Amorim would be a massive failure for Ineos to say, we got it wrong. Yeah. That's the problem. He's their guy. And the minute they do that, the fans go, what the hell are you doing? And I don't think they have the answers. And I think the honest answers is, I don't think we know what to do. I think it's come to that point where everyone's looking at each other going, what do we do now? Could this get worse? And to quote Mick McCarthy, it can. And that's the worry. that's the worry, because below 15th, and it was sort of, people were joking last season, we've got to win football matches and start to prove it. I was really concerned by what I heard from the other day, because whether you hammer him in or you hammer him out, the time to move your manager is not at the end of the transfer window.
No.
Because you're then stuck again with what you were last year, and then what do you do? So it's a really interesting one, and I'm really interested to see what's going to happen on Saturday with the fans, with the manager. Will we respond? Will we not respond? Will it be toxic? Will everyone just try and brush it under the carpet? I really don't know.
Do you think it
I
comes
can
down
tell
to
you
the
for
players,
sure,
though?
it definitely comes down to the players, because you can have a system, you can have this, that, and the other, but look at the intensity they played with when they chased the game. Same as last season. As soon as we go behind, we wake up and start playing and push it forward and go a bit more direct. And they've got this kind of, oh, it'll be all right. 90 minutes is a long time. That's how I usually feel when I watch United. I start going, don't worry about it. We've got this in the bag. I'm like, I'm worried about it. I'm not sure you do. And they sort of meander. They sort of meander on. But I just think it's at a point where it's kind of at a loss to know what is going on and what the next steps are. And I just think Saturday's going to be incredibly interesting.
See, for me, I was thinking there was a couple of youngsters in there, which I thought this is a real serious note to yourself. Whilst you are a Manchester United player, and at a time where it's tough, go and prove yourself. Put yourself out there and prove
Be
yourself.
the man, yeah.
But I think there's so many youngsters now at clubs that, they're gone are the days of, you're having to clean the first team's boots, you're having to do this. You've got 16, 17-year-olds, we'll say, no, that's too low, but 17, 18-year-olds driving around in Porsches and Land Rovers thinking they're Billy Big Bollocks before they've even kicked a ball. Do you think that also contributes, especially being at a club like Manchester United? People are like, oh, I'm going to be part of this rebuilding process. My nose is up here, but yet my footballing ability whilst playing for Manchester United is down there. And I think it's like Max is here. Following on from that question, can you see relegation actually being a possibility depending on if the situation continues as it does?
If they play like last night, then it's hard to disagree with anything, because that was awful. If you base it off of the first two games, I'd say no. I don't. I think that there's still enough quality, and as you said, that you've got young players coming through that have some talent, that have some ability. But I think I think the main issue is they don't have those players to hold them to the standards. They don't have those players to hold. They don't have the Roy Keanes. They don't have the even in the heads when they had Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, Rio Ferdinand. And it's a different time, so you can't keep harking back to that. But that was a time when we brought a young player in. They had those standards, and they would be held to them. There wouldn't be any of this faffing about, this nonsense. We've seen downing tools effectively. Garnacho, Sancho, Rashford, all over the past 18 months, just throwing the toys out of the pram and just not willing to kind of perform and falling out. And it is a different time as well. Social media certainly added some aspects, as you said, to that. There's a different feel. It's a different generation. So you are dealing with something completely different. And it is a problem. It is a problem, because then you're having anybody who then does a little bit well, they perform at a decent level. They become the fan. The fans almost overlove them, because we're like, oh, you might save us. You might be the guy to take us out. And suddenly they have a messiah complex. And I think Garnacho is a bit like that. You look back and you think, did we all get a bit too excited with him? Did we fuel it? Did we fuel the belief in it? Because you look at the stats last season and they were shite. They weren't good
He's
enough.
done that a lot, though. They did it with Federico Macedo after his goal.
2 games.
It just pumped him up. You said it there, though, about Garnacho. It's all over Sky Sports News at the moment. But 40 million to Chelsea. Good valuation, good bit of money back into the club, do you think? Or is it one that you would have liked to have seen a bit more of? I know, obviously, you said the stats last year were a bit shit. But,
I think
there's problems clearly not just in that one area, is it?
No, I think for where that is at this moment in time in the transfer window, 40 million is probably about as good as we could have got at that point. I think because of the way Garnacho's partly decided to handle it, because I think United sort of turned down, I think it was 50 in January, wasn't it? I think Chelsea came in 50, rings a bell. We're not very good at selling, full stop. full stop. Manchester United have struggled to sell, and while we're changing a lot in the backroom staff and things, where I think the transfer business and that has improved, the way we're doing it has improved. We still can't sell. Like, you think Rashford's gone on loan. Okay, you've lost the wages and all that's off the bill. It's rumours that Anthony might be another loan to Real Betis. Can't sell in.
Just to get him out.
Just to get him out again. You've got Sancho. That may end up being a loan because he won't bloody sign a deal with anybody. Like Tyrell Malacia, you wouldn't see him. He disappeared completely off the books, and he's another one they're trying to move on. And then when you look at the valuations we got for it, you look at what we sold Anthony Elanga for, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Was it 14 million or something? Absolutely insane for a young, dirt cheap nonsense. And then we see valuations, and something, to be fair, someone like Chelsea do very well because of the way they manage their contracts, etc. They get very good numbers for their players.
You mean those contracts are selling themselves to themselves?
Themselves, yeah. The loopholes, the loophole warriors. Have, but it's working. It's working for them. And they're able to get fees out of it. And we can't. We've overspent and we've undersold for years. Garnacho, look, it needed to happen. He can't stay. The relationship has broken down. He wanted to move. They were kind of set on it. It's disappointing, but I think the stuff after the stuff on the day of the Europa League final, I think switched United fans off. Like I got disappointment not to be in the team, but because he scored a goal, he did. I think an assist in the semi-final, and you're like, come on, like you're not ripping up trees to get in the final. And for me, no, your mentality should be, I'm going to come on and win this game. I'm going to come on and win the Europa League. And he wasn't. His brother and that was all whining and complaining over Twitter. So I think from that point, it was like, he can get out. We've got enough problems without stroppy kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Max says it here again. New striker for 70 million and 10th on the penalty taker list.
Yeah. I mean, my only thought was, it's a cramp and maybe to protect him. I think they were hoping it would be done. They didn't want to put him in that situation, perhaps, on his debut with all the other issues. But, that doesn't scream great to me. I want my striker to want the ball and to take a penalty. Like, I've always kind of... If a striker's not in the top five, I'm always like, that's not...
Yeah, it's not a good sign at all, is it?
No, it's not positive. So, and to be honest, from a penalty taking perspective, we did okay yesterday. Like they were all, we just didn't look like we were going to save one. You know what I mean? Like we went down to the second round of penalties and we'd only missed two. We missed, I think two. Yeah, we missed. Yeah, we'd missed one, and then obviously the Embuemo second. So, that's more on Mr. Poppadom wrist again, isn't it?
It is. I mean, how many he got his hand to, but they still went in?
How many he dove past? There was a couple that weren't good penalties and they were right height, but he suddenly decided to spring like. I was just like, just be a goalkeeper. Any chance? Any chance? Can we get Tom Eaton on mid shootout, please?
Would it give you Hannibal back for a game if you wanted to?
I'd take him, yeah. I mean, he was a legend ever since, that 7-0 at Anfield. He went kicking Liverpool players.
I mean, before we get on to, obviously, the game on Saturday, Colin says, and he took the words out of my mouth. I mean, he weren't sat here with a knife and fork and I'm going, But Colin said, what is the answer to United's problems?
I mean, if you've got the answers to that,
to be fair, Max gave a good one here and said Amorim swallows his pride and bins his system. Could be that.
I think he needs to change something. He said it himself about change. I don't know what change he's talking about, whether it's about himself. He has to do something different. He can't keep doing what we're doing. We're going down a road to nowhere. We all know it. And yes, it's difficult to kind of swallow your pride a little bit. But he's got to do something else. But I mean, the answer to United problems there's so many problems, and that's the problem. That has been the problem. Is it's amalgamation of a lot of things, and they seem to be trying to put some stuff right. And I get that some of these things are going to take a long time for fruition. All I want to see at the minute is progress. I want to see forward. I want to see less of the embarrassing, the stupidity, the kind of calming down, and progression in the league. We're not expecting to be where we're not expecting to be where we've been. That'll be a very different way of playing if we get Ange, that's for sure. But yeah, what's the answer? I really don't know. And to be honest, this morning I had someone knock on the door and asked, did I want to go to Bible camp? And I was thinking, does he have the answer? Maybe you're tempting me in a way I've never been tempted before. If you've got the answer to that, but yeah, I wish I knew, Colin. Is the honest answer.
When you realise that it's just you sat at the table with Judas, and you're like, oh, for God's sake!
You are, yeah. And he's got honours gloves on.
To be fair, some light at the end of the tunnel for Manchester United. I've looked at a couple of facts. Manchester United have lost just one of their last 25 home games against Burnley in all competitions, winning 15 and drawing 9. The last time going 2-0 down in January 2020. And of all teams to have visited Manchester United, a bit of a nice one for Burnley, at least 8 times in the Premier League. Burnley are one of 3 teams to have avoided defeat in more than half, along with Chelsea and Manchester City. So we're in there with some nice company. Manchester United are also unbeaten in their last 23 Premier League games against promoted sides, winning 20 and drawing 3. That was since a 4-1 loss at Watford in November 2021. And Manchester United have lost 8 of their last 13 home Premier League matches, winning 3, drawing 2. Since the start of this run, 7th of December last year, no ever-present team has lost more Premier League matches on home soil, although Spurs also lost 8. So if it was to continue, I think that would be a bit of an all-over stat, that one. But yeah, I mean, going into it, being back at home, a redemption result pretty much needed. Obviously, the Premier League's a different animal to the Cup. But yeah, how do you see this one going this weekend?
Yeah, I think same as the sort of stats you said. The games I always remember with Burnley is you making it very difficult for us to break you down. That's kind of been the sort of nature of it. And I'd say, like, you've got your Jesse Lingard moment, I've got my Robbie Blake moment, which was as I was about to go on holiday. I remember that one. I'm thinking, get me on that plane, get me on that plane. And Old Trafford games where we've not been able to break you down and difficulty, and then you've got the context of this one, which is going to make it. It could go It really could go a number of ways. I would look. They've got to react. They've got to react in some way. They know that the fans are beyond pissed off with what they've just witnessed, which will mean the fans will probably do what they usually do and try and get behind them early. But I think if I'm Burnley, I'm thinking just keep us out for that first period. If you can keep us out for that first period, the turn of the stadium might do enough for you, because the frustration will build, the sloppy passes will come again. But in the last 2 Premier League games, which are the only 2 we've played so far, we have started really well in both. We were on the front foot against Fulham the first. Had Cunha not had hit the post and scored, if we could take a chance in those early periods, we may have been talking a very different start. What they've got to now do is try and bury the Grimsby game in some way, because it's gone. And the Premier League, we've got to look at those 2 performances and what we can do about it. So it's going to go one of 2 ways, isn't it? I think you're going to either stamp it in, make it difficult, and then probably counter us, probably catch us through our gaping midfield, I would imagine. Or United are going to react, and it could be 2-0 after 10-15 minutes and that. But I really see more of the former than the secondary, because there's just not enough proof. There's not enough proof of United doing that in recent times. I can't remember the last time we won a game where I was comfortable. And that you always see the predictions of people who've got like 3-0 here, 4-0 there, and you're like, that's based on history. That's not based on sort of now. I can't remember Southampton last year. We made a mess of that game. Southampton were awful last season. Absolutely dreadful. They should have been 2-0 up against us after 20 minutes. So I really don't, we've just lost to Grimsby, for crying out loud. Like, yeah, anyone scares the life out of me at the minute. I'm looking at, like, if you had Wout Weghorst up front, I'd be absolutely bricking it. Like,
desperate times. I was just looking at some of the past results, actually. The last result that we played against Manchester United at Old Trafford was a 1-1 draw in April 2024. Zekiam doing a penalty in the dying minutes. Which is, funnily enough, the first ever game between Manchester United and Burnley in 1892. also finished 1-1. That's when you was known as Newton Heath. But
Wow.
yeah, I'm looking at the last couple. They've been really close scorelines. You got 1-0. We'll forget the League Cup. That was 2-0 to you. But yeah, League Cup. We're talking Prem.
Yeah, we don't like the League Cup.
I think we were under Sean Dash then, and we definitely didn't do cups under Dash. Yeah, 1-1 in Feb 2022 at Turf Moor. Then you beat us in December and April 3-1.
So they're pretty tight games, and I wouldn't
Yeah,
I wouldn't expect much different. And I think obviously your win last week is massive, absolutely massive for you guys, because you've got. I see Burnley now as there's no pressure on this game. There's no pressure on this game. In actual fact, you're looking at this going, we might pick something up here that we would anticipated. And all of a sudden, if you go and get something at Old Trafford, then you look at that first 3 games and go, do you know what? Like that's a good return. We won the important game with Sunderland, and we've gone and taken something at Old Trafford. So I think that might work in your benefit. I think had you have lost last week, then you probably would be nervy too, and you'll be thinking, "Oh God, are we going down the path we've been?" But I think to have that 3 points on the board, I mean, you might tell me different, but I'm thinking like you've got 3 points on the board, got that out of the way. We can now try and attack each game as it comes.
100%. 100%. And Burnley is sat higher than Manchester United, 2 points better off.
Everyone's sat higher than us, pretty much, apart from West Ham. The minute we drop below West Ham, I'm worried.
To be fair, so I'm getting it in early. Because at the end of the season, I'll be crying, probably. No, obviously we've gone over Amorim and things like that. What do you think to the setup then? He doesn't like changing much in terms of formation and the way he plays. Like I said, he likes to hammer it, so you could call him Ruben Hammer him.
Hey.
But yeah, how do you expect the starting 11 to look?
So I think it will probably be similar to what he's gone with in the Premier League. I know we said like he needs to change stuff, but I just 100% needs to be heated in goal. For anybody else's name on that team sheet, it's going to be meltdown. But I do think he'll go Bayern because there's just no proof that he does that. There's just no proof that if his mentality is screw this when we get to the international break, then he's going to stick by his principles one more time, and here's what I think. So I think you'll be looking. He'll probably go Bayern in goal. There's no way Onana starts. Surely not. Like he's certainly not got open now. And if it's Bayern, the only hope is that he's been locked in a room for a week watching videos of keepers taking crosses and all the rest of this. That's the only hope.
Mate, you've spoken to people at your front door today about crosses more than Onana. So he's done homework on crosses.
No,
trust me.
He's a it will be all right on a night kind of guy, but it won't be. I think the back, he'll play a back 3. We know he's going to play a back 3. It'll be De Ligt. It will be Lenny Yoro, who started the season really well. Actually, he didn't feature last night. Yoro's been good. And it will be probably Luke Shaw on the left side of that 3 as he started. I expect that to be the same. It'll be Dorgu at left wing back. It will be, I think he'll go Ahmad over Dalot possibly, unless he sees that maybe Dalot could maybe he needs a little bit more protection there, because there's still that's another issue that is going to take some time to work out. The Ahmad and Bremo link isn't quite there. Ahmad doesn't quite seem to know when to go and to not. They're getting in each other's spaces, I think, a little bit at the moment. Yeah. So that's maybe the one that. But Dalot obviously impressed himself immensely with a quality performance at Grimsby, so he's another one on the on the positive list. Midfield, he'll go Casemiro and Bruno. He will. Like there's sadly not really any other option. With what's going on with Mainu, we're not expecting he's going to stay. He obviously played yesterday. We don't know what the deal is behind the scenes. So you think Bruno will come back in to start. You'll have Cunha, you'll have Mbuemo. I think probably Sesko won't start after that. I think it would be too much to put on him again. So he'll probably play Mount. And parts of that have worked. I like the Mount and Cunha link up.
I thought that worked.
It's been threatening, and Cunha's got in some attacking positions in particular. I'd like to see Mbuemo getting a few more of attacking positions. And it's going to be tight. There's going to be less space. So I think you're going to need that Mount Cunha interchange to kind of get a half chance to get a shot off. So Yeah, I don't think he'll do much different, is the honest answer, because there's no proof that he does anything else. I mean, maybe he'll shock us all and suddenly we'll come out with a 4-4-2 and be like, bloody hell, Sean Dyche has been on the phone.
See, from a Burnley perspective, I'm thinking, I mean, I saw quite a lot of positives in some of the players that haven't really had much game time. Obviously, we've not seen the likes of Armando Broja. He's managed to come through that Derby game unscathed, so maybe we get 2 games in a row out of him. Not not many clubs could say that. But yeah, there was positive signs. As much as he wasn't heavily involved in the game, I think it was his movement off the ball that really stood out for me. Loom Chowner, who we brought in from Lazio, I think was absolutely outstanding. He just reminds me of Maxwell Cornet when we was a team that looked very stagnant and didn't know what to do. We finally found a player that saw those pockets of space, ran into them. I think we've got a gem there that will eventually come good as long as Scott Parker doesn't hold him back. Great to see Aaron Ramsey back playing football as well. It was like the perfect comeback. Gets his name on the score sheet after being out for best part of 18 months through injury. So fantastic for him. So I'd be interested to see how many of them are going to be in and around the squad after having that midweek game. Other than that, I'd probably say it's going to be Dubravka in goal. Are we going to go for a back 5 again or back 4 like we played in the cup? I didn't really rate the back 5 against Spurs. I thought we were a little bit overcrowded defensively and not everybody knew which man to pick up. I know that's something that could come in time, but as we've already stated with Amorim as well, that the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over and over again. So I don't know whether he'll go with a back 5 again or go to a back 4. Personally, I'd go with a back 4. If Connor Roberts is fit, I'd potentially play him, but then I think after Son bagging the winner against Derby, you can't really drop him. So it's a tough call, but it's probably going to be Son at right back, Estev, Ekdal, and Quillinchi Hartman on the left. 2 holding midfielders of Cullen and Leslie Ugachukwu. Out wide, Jaden Anthony, and on the other side, he's benched Marcus Edwards, and I'm sort of glad because he's starting to remind me a little bit of Adama Traore, where he's got bags of pace and fuck all else.
Yeah, looks dangerous, but nothing happens.
Exactly. Charles Bronson looks dangerous, but you don't expect him with a ball at his feet. So yeah, I think it would be Brun Larson on that far on the other side, and potentially, I'd be interesting to see. I think Fleming maybe as a cam, but then I feel like I'm ruling Hannibal out. I think Hannibal. This would be the sort of game that Hannibal would be up for.
Yeah, you would
So I
think
think
so.
it could be Hannibal, and maybe you'd start with Foster and then bring Brozier on towards the second half. But yeah, I don't know. We've got a couple of options. Speaking of options, you did say 3 days of the window left. Where do you need to strengthen? Who personally, who would you like to bring in those areas if you could?
Where do we need to strengthen? Everywhere. No, I
See that team sheet, yeah?
get rid of that. Stop that. Where the 2 areas, the only 2 areas that they can do anything with, goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like Lemons is going to be the guy, but is he ready to start? And is that going to be too much pressure? Don't know. Midfielder. They need that midfield.
Is that to replace Casemiro or?
I think more of we need a Belieber is the perfect fit. I can understand entirely why they want Belieber. I don't think we'll get Belieber. I don't think Brighton will sell him. I think the fee's too high for what we're able to kind of go for. But I think that sort of fit a player in the midfield makes a difference. Would be huge. Because then I think that opens up a lot more options in terms of who you can partner with in the different things. That's where you maybe start to see the Amorim thing change in terms of how we play. But the reality is that's a lot of money. I've not really seen us linked to too much else. It's more been kind of outgoings. And it might link to the outgoings. Maybe the fact that Garnacho's now been agreed, that opens the door for something. If they can get Sancho and Anthony off in the next couple of days, then. But that's been a problem all summer. We've been waiting for these guys to bugger off to try and reinvest it into the squad. So if I had my way, if I could do one transfer for the end of the window, it would be Belieber. It would be Belieber.
For a minute, I thought you were going to say Onana for Christy Pym.
Oh, it did. Onana for anybody. I think I'd take a 60-year-old Peter Schmeichel over Onana at the minute.
I don't blame you. Don't blame you. Who should Burnley look out for then in terms of attacking intent? What's the main threat that Burnley need to watch out for?
Cunha. Cunha is the one that's looked the most lively and getting into really clever pockets.
I was going to say he didn't really stay central either when he was up for. He was when the ball were playing out wide, he would make himself available. Yeah. He's not just one of those stagnant strikers that expects the ball to feet.
No, he's not. And on the basis that we don't think Sesko is going to start, he's probably going to drop in a little bit, and you'll have a kind of false nine situation again. And that's where him and Mount were switching, and he can pick up, so he can go, so he can go running with the ball, which is where one of his massive strengths. And I think one thing Fulham did very well was they did kind of null Brian and Bremer a lot. They nullified that area because of Cunha's threat, and Bremer then got space, and you can't. That you can't kind of miss that, and obviously he got a goal yesterday sort of coming in where we got a bit too much space, so it may well be a case of if you're going too heavy on Cunha, then you open the space up from Mbeumo. But they're the two. If you're looking at Manchester United, what is gonna hurt? It's going to be that. What's going to hurt us? The midfield. I would play a 4. I think we struggle with against the 4 because you'll dominate the midfield. The midfield area will allow you to play through. You'll be able to handle that still, I think, with a 4. And then because you've got that extra man in the middle, that will allow you to play through. And your threat will be to get that through and then attack us through the wide areas. We saw what Cullen can do last week. The ball for Jadon Anthony. Yeah. That could be on. That kind of pass could be on against us. And if Cullen's able to get on the ball in those areas, that's where I think you could hurt us.
Don't rule out your 90th minute goal threat in Harry Maguire as well, though.
Oh, mate, it literally, he should have...
It's the only time he scores.
He could have had 3 this season. Literally, the Arsenal game was Saliba got a second touch to it when he was steaming in. He had a header just wide against Fulham, and he had the one the other night. He could be on 3 goals this season. He's an absolute... Like when he scored the header, I was like, of course Harry Maguire scored.
FPL cheat code.
FPL cheat code. And he was the only guy with a penalty that I was 100% confident with, because I was like, he's going to batter this.
Right then, so let's get down to it. The actual scoreline, how do you think, again, I know you said earlier it's probably going to depend on the atmosphere, the whole thing around the game, but for you, how do you reckon the game's going to go?
I think it's going to be so edgy. I was, before the Grimsby game, kind of in my head, I was thinking that I think United will get it done, and I thought maybe that this might be the one where we're able to score a couple of times. But I really don't now. I just think that's going to put a lot of doubt in. I'd be shocked if we suddenly go and turn you over on Saturday. But love it, but I doubt it. I can't see it. But I've got to go with it. They've got to get a win somewhere. They've got to do something. Yeah. And I think I would go for a scratchy 1-0. Harry Maguire in the 90th minute.
Oh, that would be an absolute sickener. I'd be like, yes, can't believe we're going to come away from Old Trafford with a point. Fair enough.
Do you know what it'll be? It'll be from a Tom Heaton launched free kick into the box.
It will. We'll have countered and then just not regrouped well enough.
Yeah.
Harry Maguire goes on a Heung-min Son run like he did against
It'll be in when we played Lyon, where it was just like everyone was everywhere and we just like, screw it, Harry Maguire's up front. It'll be that. Heaton will pick him out and it will just be, the forehead of destiny will settle it.
I'll tell you what, it could read anybody's destiny with the size of that big bomb. Max gone for 1-1 or 2-1. I mean, I would take either. A point on the road in the Premier League is always valuable. But I think we were talking about stats, weren't we, on the pod the other week about how it's the first time in a long time that all three teams have got 3 points on the board. I think it was October last time or something like
Yeah,
that,
it
so
was. Yeah.
November. So mad to see. And it was also humbling to see Arsenal just put Leeds back in their place. I'll just say that as a Burnley fan. Lovely stuff. Absolutely lovely stuff. 5 of the best. 5 lashings right across the arse. So yeah, I'm going to say the same as you. I'm going to go 1-0, but I think it could go either way. I think it could be again a really scrappy fixture. If I had to pick, of course, I would choose the men in. I would say claret and blue. There's like a hint of claret in the badges, but
Blue and claret.
yeah, the blue and claret. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a tasty clash more than anything.
Are you thinking? Are you thinking corner on our goalkeeper's head, or?
we used to be absolutely brilliant at set pieces, with the likes of Ben Mee, Tarkovsky, and things like that. And then we had a set piece coach called Elliot Taibo, and let's just say everybody was celebrating when it was announced that he was leaving. It was up there, was it, with if Onana was to announce his retirement now, Manchester United fans it would be street parties. It would be tremendous news. But we have got a new one in, and fingers crossed we're going to see things get a little bit better on the set piece front. And maybe that's where we need to be our strongest this weekend, because if that's where Manchester United are there to catch, Onana clearly not, then go for it. Why not? Put yourself in there, make yourself big. I'm just looking forward to a nice, tasty Lancastrian affair.
Yeah.
I know you'll say Greater Manchester, but it's the same shit, different smell.
I'm thinking it's just going to be a nice, relaxing Saturday afternoon. I'm sure, as it usually is. It's going to be.
For you, maybe. I think I'm on the bus from 9 o'clock in the morning, spoons brekkie in Printworks, and then hammer the beer until the game, and just whatever happens. C'est la vie, as Bewitched one said.
So it could well be C'est la vie. It could well be C'est la vie.
It could. No, thank you, Sam. I really do appreciate it, giving up your time, mate. Obviously, especially after last night as well. More of a man than I am. I'd have hid away. I'd have been like Michael Bublé until Christmas. I wouldn't have come out of my. I would not have come out of that cave.
Yeah, if it was last night, it might have been a bit tricky, but at least it gave me today. So I always reference the one where I had to, after we lost 7-0 to Liverpool, and had to go on with Josh, who was obviously on the Absolute podcast with us, and he was hosting. So I had a Liverpool fan on hosting me the day after Liverpool 7, Man United 0. That was a tough one. But sadly, I'm getting more used to it and learning how to deal with it, which is not the sort of experience I was looking for, if I'm honest.
I feel for that guy who's growing his hair out. He's probably thinking, I've got the first one. We've got Burnley coming up. That could be 2. Are we going to get 3 games? Am I going to get to shave my head? How he hasn't lost his hair to stress, I do not know.
He just doesn't even get started. Like, every time, I don't think we've hit more than 2. And I was thinking 5, such a... But he rolled a stat off the other day. We said apparently 11 of the 20 Premier League teams have done it or something in the past year. He said, if you include cup games and things like that. And I thought, well, that seems... Because I thought 5 games is a lot. I mean, if any team to win 5 games in a row, unless you're at the top and you're battering teams left, right and centre. But, yeah, he reckoned more than half the Premier League, if you include cup games, have done it over the past, whatever. I watching Man United at the minute. Good God, I wish that guy all the luck in the world, because that is, he's not going to be able to get through doors.
I bet he saved a lot of money as well. He'll know how a bald man feels now without having to go to the barbers and get his hair cut. He'll have saved lots and lots of money. Saying that, though, he probably has to spend it on taming the beast.
He probably does, doesn't he? And I would imagine that's been hot over the summer. It's been toasty.
Just a bit. But speaking of taming the beast, are Burnley going to be able to tame Manchester United this weekend? We shall find out on Saturday. But again, thank you, Sam, for coming on. Please do showcase your talents and let us know where people can find your good self.
So you can find me at Sam Absolute FBL on Twitter, or check us out at the Absolute Football Podcast. That's on all the socials and our YouTube channel as well. If you like lower league football, then check them out. They're talking tonight about all the FL stuff, and they're probably having a Grimsby party. So I might not be joining that one tonight, but do check them out, the Absolute Football Podcast. And yeah, thanks for having me on. Been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Oh, I appreciate it. And yeah, good, I was going to say good luck for the season, but I don't think you're going to need it because I think you'll be all right. Personally, I think you'll be all right.
I don't know what we're worried about. The signs are great.
I see you've not shown your fingernails on the stream just because they're all red and bloody. And
it's probably because my knuckles are all bruised punching the wall after the penalties.
Oh, you're not a Liverpool fan. You're not knuckle dragging yet, are you?
No.
Oh, trust me, every other club gets slander on here. I love it.
Gotta be done.
It's got to be done. No, I appreciate everybody in the chat, everybody who's dropped a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Like I say, we've been growing massively over the summer, so I can't say thank you enough. You've been absolute wonderful to me, to the channel, to everyone in and around, and I will always respond to your comments. As I say, after this live has finished, you can still get your score predictions in, and I'll get back to you with those. But until then, it's going to be an interesting game on Saturday. One I'm looking forward to. One Sam's looking forward to through gritted teeth. And we shall see you very, very soon with another match preview. Until then, take care and up the Clarets.